Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League One outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us on this very, very special Mother's Day edition of the Football Out West show. It is going to be a huge, huge show and a weekend of a lot of upsets. My name is Tonchi Prusak. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you here today and an equal pleasure to have on board, as he does week in, week out, the man in the shades tonight. It's Steve Curtin. Good evening, Steve. And that's a bit bright in the studio, is it?
Yeah, look, we've had a little bit of a big day, big weekend, Tonchi. So we've just got the shades on tonight. So if everyone in the audience is okay with that, we'll take those off now. But pleasure to be joining you again tonight, Tonchi, and happy Mother's Day to all the mums out there. And I hope you enjoyed a good weekend of football. And wow, yeah, a lot happening. How are you, mate? Did you? How'd you go over the weekend? It was a
kick
any goals?
Crazy week. Yeah, crazy weekend. Me personally didn't kick any goals. I think I'm a little bit too old for kicking goals in that sense. But it's been a full-on weekend, and the upsets. Geez, we've had all sorts of scores and all sorts of interesting results throughout the football competitions in Victoria, and that's what we're here tonight, folks, to do a major roundup of what happened over the weekend. And I tell you what, you had a double header today, and I guess the scoreline suggests that it was very, very close between one of the powerhouses of the NPL competition and one of the strugglers. Wasn't the case, but mate, you were out at Lakeside Oval all day today. How'd you go?
Yeah, it was a good day of football, and it was a special occasion as well with the Blue Ribbon charity getting involved, as well as the special triple header. There was a police game happening afterwards as well. The Victorian Police Soccer Club competing against the South Australian equivalent, and it was the Tony Clark Memorial Day. Tony Clark was a South Melbourne supporter. He was a football player for the Victoria Police Football Club. He was sadly murdered in the line of duty in April 2005, and well done to everyone for putting on a really special day in his memory and in the memory of all who've lost their life serving us as the Victoria Police Force. So that was very well done, and it was a big day of football on the pitch as well, because in the NPL Women's, we have now the A-League Women's players coming back into the squads in the NPLW. So the standard is just going up and up in that competition, if it wasn't already. And then, of course, the men's game as well. It was an interesting game, North and South. We'll talk a bit about that later. But, a youngster getting on the score sheet late in the game to make things nice and close at full time. And, in some ways, the way that North played, the spirit they showed a fitting scoreline. But it could have been much more hefty the other way, but that's the way it went.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that and talking a lot more football later tonight. A big shout out to our major sponsors for 2023. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp. Nick Trachevsky is the man to see if you need for all of your construction needs. Before we go straight into the news desk, we've got heaps and heaps to get through today. Our guests tonight, Steve, who are our big guests coming on the show tonight?
Yeah, so joining us tonight, live on the show, head coach of Werribee City, DOMINIC BARBA, after his side continued their good form with a big win on Friday night where they got over the top of Pascoe Vale. And also the other man, we've got him on the screen there as well, TERRY ANTONIADIS, the head coach of Altona East Phoenix. And they find themselves in a good spot in the State League 2 Northwest for a good start to the 2023 season. So, yeah, looking forward to speaking to Dom and speaking also to Terry and finding out a bit more about what's happening at their clubs. And yeah, Altona East Phoenix is not a club that I know a heap about myself, so it's always good to do a bit of investigative Sunday night investigative journalism to find out what's going on. So that's what we're going to do.
That's what we're going to be doing tonight. So stay with us over the next hour and so as we give you all the latest news of the weekend's round of football that was played throughout Victoria. Some, like I said, some really, really interesting games. Folks, don't go away. We'll be back very, very shortly after this break with the news desk.
At Guzman Finance, like you, we are passionate about the western suburbs and football. Our main passion, however, is helping customers succeed in their financial goals. As trusted mortgage brokers, we offer knowledge, personalised service, and access to hundreds of loan products from Australia's leading lenders. If you're in the market for buying your first home, looking for a better interest rate on your mortgage, renovating your home, or buying an investment property, my team and I will help you manage the process from start to finish. Avoid costly mistakes and expensive loan products. Contact our office on 9369 6805 or 0425 826 055.
Welcome to Anytime Fitness in Werribee.
The club with the most supportive, welcoming and friendliest members and staff.
Whether you're a first-timer, gym goer or just an everyday person, we are here for you.
A recently renovated facility offers you everything you need to get started with your health and fitness goals.
Our club offers brand new state-of-the-art cardio equipment, an amazing functional zone for group classes, a lifting zone, and really does cater for every single person. So don't miss out, come see us in club to redeem this offer.
Welcome back to the Football Hour show, Steve. What's happening in the news desk? Over to you, mate.
Yeah, let's roll through it. We must have a bit of ESP going on, or either that or our internet is just overriding each other. But yeah, big weekend, and we'll start with the national competition. The A-League men's semi-final first legs took place on the weekend, Friday night. Melbourne City went up to Sydney, and Matt Leckie opened the scoring on 18 minutes. Adam Lafondra replying with a penalty kick on 64, and Melbourne City favoured to win this one against Sydney FC, who were surprising to get past Western Sydney Wanderers. For me, I thought the Wanderers were one of the smokies in the final series. And yeah, a good result for Sydney. So Melbourne City just need to get the win in the second leg at home, and they'll get through to the grand final. Last night, I caught a bit of this one as well. It was billed as being an exciting game. Central Coast Mariners have had the wood over Adelaide United this season, beating them 4-0 and 4-1 in the home and away, and it looked like it might have been going the way of the host, Craig Goodwin, scoring a spot kick on 4 minutes, but then James McGarry scoring for the Mariners on 15 before I'd even turned the TV on, a goal apiece. And the cum dog, Jason Cummings, on 38 minutes, putting the Mariners ahead, and then that's the way it stayed. So the Mariners have got a handy lead after their away leg to take back to Gosford. So they'll be expected to get their way through to the big one as well. So, yeah, plenty to look forward to next week and in the A-League men's second leg of those semi-finals.
And that's Friday night, Melbourne City taking on Sydney FC. down in Melbourne at Amy Park. And then the following night, Saturday night, Central Coast Mariners hosting Adelaide United. They've got that 2-1 handy lead after the first leg. Both games kick off at 7:45 p.m. Now, speaking of national football, the National Second Division. During the week, it was announced which 26 teams had been whittled down from 32 applicants. Steve, lots of interest as far as Victorian clubs are concerned.
Yeah, so the Bentley Greens are the one Victorian club who's been removed from the list of that original 32. The other one's Blacktown City, Valentine FC from Northern New South Wales, Peninsula Power from Queensland, Playford City from South Australia, and the conglomerate of Spearwood and Coburn, pronounce that correctly, from Western Australia as well, getting through. So that leaves us with 2 from the ACT, Canberra, Croatia, and Gungahlin United. I hope I've got that right.
Gungahlin United.
Gungahlin, yeah, Gungahlin. We'll see which one of those can make it. Maybe both. Who knows? New South Wales, Apia Leichhardt, Fraser Park, Marconi Stallions, Rockdale Illington, Sydney Olympic, Sydney United 58, Sydney Sharks / Cronulla Sharks, Wollongong Wolves, Queensland, Brisbane City, Brisbane United Consortium, Gold Coast Knights, Gold Coast United, Olympic FC, Sunshine Coast Adelaide, the Adelaide City Football Club, and the South Australian conglomerate, Tasmania, South Hobart, Victoria, Avondale, Brunswick, Juventus, Green Gully, Heidelberg United, Melbourne Knights, Preston Lions, South Melbourne. So the state of Western Australia is no longer on the shortlist anymore. So there you go.
Interesting stuff, and probably at least for the first edition of this, which is
not
slated
to say
for
they won't be in later. Hey?
Correct, and I think, and it's probably smarter to keep the costs down initially anyway. But anyway, Australian Cup fixtures, they've also been released in the last few days. Round 6, we're going to take a little bit of a look at that. There's a couple of games, a couple of games coming up on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. As we can see, Northcote City at home to Moreland City on Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Then Golden Valley Suns take on the Whittlesea Rangers midweek game there at John McEwen Reserve in Shepparton. But the big one, Wednesday, get this, folks, Heidelberg United taking on Avondale FC. That's at Olympic Village. Avondale have swept everything before it in the NPL Victoria competition. Heidelberg United, we'll talk a bit more about that. We're on the wrong end of a 5-0 scoreline over the weekend. But Cup football, Steve, throw the form book out the window.
Yeah, that's right. And I'd expect Avondale to shuffle the pack a little bit there. So Heidelberg United could be, in with the chance. But yeah, they've been so up and down this season. They're the only team to beat South Melbourne. But then you see them, losing to the Knights 5-0 on Friday night. It doesn't bode well. They just can't seem to get a consistent run going at the moment. Moving on to next week, Bentley Greens and Melbourne Knights at Kingston Heath, Brimbank and Geelong at City Vista, North Geelong and St Albans at Alco Park, the Cannons and Dandy City at Jack Edwards, South Springvale and FC Clifton Hill at Warner Reserve. All those matches at 7:30, the later game at 8 o'clock at McIver Reserve, Yarraville Glory and North Sunshine Eagles. The match without a set date yet is the Eastern Lions Hume City clash. But those these teams are only a couple of wins away, Tonchi, from the national phase of the competition. Yep. So there's lots to play for. And while teams have rotated the pack a little bit at times, as we were mentioning, it's certainly worth having a crack because there's a lot at stake if you can get through to that phase of the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Now moving along, I guess it's not part of the Western region, but a club that has been represented on this show quite several times, on several occasions, Port Melbourne. Well, they need the help of the wider football community, Steve, and there's a petition at the moment going on change.org to prioritise urgent upgrades to Port Melbourne Soccer Club facilities. Now, folks, this is a really important one. Jump on there. They're looking at 1,000, but I'm sure if the football community, the wider football community, supports this, we can get a lot more than that. But it's basically addressed to the mayor and councillors of the city of Port Phillip Bay. Now, if you look at that graphic, on the left side, J.L. Murphy, the AFL oval. On the right-hand side, J.L. Murphy, the soccer pitch. And that was a photo that was taken on the 8th of May. basically, what they're saying is we're urging the council to urgently upgrade lighting for pitch 2 and surrounds, prioritise a comprehensive permanent resurfacing of pitch 2 over pitch 3 on the basis of high need and usage, grant permission to use adjacent grounds to alleviate pressure on pitch 2. And there's a couple of other things as well that Port Melbourne are asking the wider... look, basically the council there, like most councils around Victoria, an anti-soccer sentiment when it comes to supporting that over the AFL. We need to just be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more forthcoming to these type of actions. So urging the wider football community to jump on board. And I'll pop that graphic up again, change.org. If you go onto change.org, support the upgrade of Port Melbourne Soccer Club facilities. Let's get it over 1,000 names.
Yeah, that's right. And I put my name to that one over the weekend. And yeah, City of Port Phillip, they do appear as a little sponsor, a little logo on the Port Melbourne Sharks kit.
Yeah.
I've noticed, but they certainly have let the ground go a little bit. And it's been a problem for some weeks as well. There's been matches and even warm-ups have been moved off that particular field for some time now. So it's not something that's just happened overnight. And also there's been some neglect from the council there as well with regard to that venue was going to be a training venue for the Women's World Cup. And then they decided to, for some reason, at the last minute, change their mind and not really explain the process properly. So things could be handled a little bit better, as you say, Tonchi, with regard to the World Game and just a bit more equity in the way that we spend our money, our ratepayer money with regard to sports that are popular, and football is as popular as any.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, folks, we're going to have two very, very important guests coming on the show later on tonight. Terry Antoniadis, the head coach of the Altona East Phoenix Soccer Club from State League 2. And we'll also be talking to DOMINIC BARBA, the head coach of Werribee City in NPL2. They had a massive win on the weekend, and we look forward to that. In the meantime, we're going to have a little bit of a break. When we return, we're going to be looking at NPL Victoria competition, the NPL Victoria competition. It's the halfway mark of the season, and Vesko Bigovic, get the rakia ready.
Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It is episode 113, a very, very special Mother's Day edition of the show. And let's talk now the NPL Victoria competition, round 13, the halfway mark of the season. Steve, some big results, some very interesting results for round 13.
Yeah, that's right. And can I do the old cliche and say, can you believe it that we have reached this point in the season? Everyone's played everyone once, so we are officially halfway as of at about 6 o'clock tonight when the final whistle went at South Melbourne, where they were hosting North Geelong Warriors. That's one shot there for you, Vesco, there, as I mentioned that. Oh, actually, it's only if Tonchi mentions North. That must not count. It is, but an exciting weekend, Tonchi, and looking at some of those big results from the weekend.
We'll go through some of those.
Got a bit of a glitch on the computer here, mate, but I will run through them though. And so we'll work backwards. So the match that just finished, South Melbourne, a goal for Pat Langley was credited to him. We thought it might have been Ajak Riak getting the final touch, but Riak did score on 47 minutes, but a nice goal by the 17-year-old Luke Zivcic in the very last minute of the game to bring it back to 2-1. Hume City, a big week for them. Ersan Gulam shown the door by the management there at Hume City, and they went down 2-0 to Dandenong Thunder. Hallam and Damon with the goals there. Port Melbourne beating Altona Magic as well. Sesnick and Ian Challo getting on the score sheet. The Oakley Cannons, true to form, I suppose, here. 3-0 over Moreland City. Decker, Salmon and Lucas all scoring. And a big derby on Friday night took place in the Northwest. Green Gully 0, St Albans 1. Michael Gergich with the goal. And that was after Daniel Fabrizio had been sent off. So St Albans played with 10 for the bulk of that game. So a good result for St Albans in the local derby there. A really big win for the Knights. Albano, Bramwell, Semicoola, Phelps and Sumayoro. An emphatic win, 5-0 over Heidelberg United. Make no mistake, they're set to play finals this year. Aiden Federhajic sent off on 29 minutes. That didn't help the cause for George Katsakis' side. And Avondale, after their loss last week, they bounced back. A friend of the show, Xander Guy, with a couple of goals. Trejeski back in the lineup after suspension scoring, and Yusuf Ahmed. That's a wrap of the matches in the top tier over the weekend. Tonchi, in the table, we've got Avondale and South Melbourne equal on points, only separated by goal difference at the top.
Yeah, and next week we turn our attention to the second phase of the season, or the second part of the season. Round 14, the schedule looks... We've got 2 games on Friday night, both in the western suburbs. Melbourne Knights taking on St Albans Saints at Knights Stadium. Big game at 7:30 p.m. Green Gully Cavaliers will be looking to get back on the winners list, but they've got a tough one up against the Oakley Cannons and Green Gully Reserve. Turning our attention then to Saturday, there's 5 games to be played. Avondale at home to Port Melbourne Sharks. Moreland City taking on South Melbourne. Down in Geelong at Alco Park, North Geelong Warriors up against Bentley Greens. Hume City at home to Altona Magic later that evening at 6:30 p.m. at Hume City Stadium. And then Dandenong Thunder taking on Heidelberg United at George Andrews Reserve. That game's at 7:15 p.m. So some big games happening there. Mate, let's turn our attention now to NPL2. And it's high time we bring our first guest onto the show. A team that, he's the head coach of the team that did very, very well on the weekend, exceptionally well. They ended up winning 5-1 against Pascoe Vale, a team that early in the season were really considered title favourites. But, something's happened there. But on the flip side, Werribee City have gone from strength to strength, particularly in recent weeks. And it's an absolute pleasure to bring Dominic Barber onto the show. Dom, first of all, congratulations for a wonderful result. And secondly, great to have you on the show again. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks, gents. And it's a pleasure to be on the show. It was a good performance on Friday. And it's just a continuation of the work in progress that Craig, myself, and the team at Werribee are embarking on for this year.
Yeah, fantastic.
And Dom, Pascoe Vale had swung the axe and made some changes in the coaching department themselves during the week. Were you concerned as to how they might come out after maybe have a bit of a new coach bounce and a response to that happening?
Yeah, look, it's usually the way. Teams do rebound after there's been major coaching changes, and we were mindful of that as a club. We're also mindful that they took all before them in the first 5 games, and the majority of the players that were involved in that first 5 odd games were playing in the game on the weekend. So it was a really important game for us, and no one likes to be on the back end of those types of results. We had one against Eastern Lions recently, which was disappointing, but to be fair, we had 3 games in a week. So, it's one of those ones where I was just saying to one of the boys from Pascoe Vale after the game that they just have to put that one behind them. They are a decent outfit, and teams should probably not take that result as something that is indicative of the way they play, and I'm sure that they'll bounce back.
Yeah, well, I mean, people are going to get sick of me. Regular listeners to this show will say, "Oh, there he goes again." But we call it the chaos competition, NPL2, because some of the results on any given day can be just amazing. And let's go through some of those results right now. Steve, you got the results there from round 13 games?
Yeah, I do. Interesting one. And as Brent and Ray was mentioning about the slices of tomato, I think the match this afternoon, there was 3 handed out in the match with the Western United second team there in the NPL2. But yeah, running through those results, as we were saying this afternoon, 3 slices of tomato as Western United beat Bulleen Lions 3-1. Brunswick City 1-0 over Preston last night, so that was a little bit of a turn-up. That match was played at CB Smith Reserve. The Melbourne City NPL side getting over Kingston away from home 2-0. Eastern Lions 1-0 over Dandenong City. 2-2 between Northcote and Manningham United Blues. I was commentating with Arthur Acrotidis today, who said that was a very chaotic game in itself as well. Moreland Zebras, they're back on the winners list, or should I say Brunswick Juventus 3-2 over Langwarrin. And that big 5-1 result for your side on Friday night. Dom, how did the squad go leading into that one? You had, from what Craig told me, a bit of inavailability, a bit of turnover of players leading into that one as well. Was it a bit of a challenge, a bit of a chaotic week on the training track to prepare?
Yeah, look, it's been a bit like that all year. To be fair, we've got a really talented group of boys and just a wonderful group, to be honest. And they just give 100% when they play. So we took the opportunity to give 2 of our youngsters, Octavio Montalvo and Michael Baputis, a start this week. And I'm mindful that you don't want to put too many young kids in the team at any one time. But through the course of the game this week, and this is something that Werribee as a club is investing heavily in terms of its youth policy, where we had 4 or 5, I think it was, that were 19 years of age or younger on the park at any one time. So, you know, it's something that I love doing. It's something that at every club that I've been at, where you find a talent and you give them their opportunity, and hopefully they take it with both hands. And, you know, if it's something that coaches can be remembered for, it's giving a young boy a chance, which is, I guess, the nature of the NPL and something that, you know, we shouldn't be afraid of either.
Dom, we've seen some immense changes on and off the field at Costas Park. Obviously, off the field, some of the incredible facility improvements, the new club rooms, the fantastic new floodlights, the magnificent pitch. But obviously, things are starting to click on the field as well as far as the results are going. Friday night games, they're becoming a real institution now. How is the team, how is the club adapting to that? And is there newfound energy, newfound atmosphere at the club now as a result of all these improvements?
Look, it's a wonderful place to be at, you know, in terms of its facilities. And I was a former Werribee player, not very good one, but I was a player at Werribee many years ago. And if those that had recall what the facilities were like for at least prior to the last 3 or 4 years, and what they are now, it's state of the art. So we are positioned now to be a prominent club, and naturally we want to be a destination club for a lot of the players in the area. We've got a lot of players from the area that play at other clubs, so you know it's important that the club had got the opportunity to invest in its facilities, and obviously when players are now training and playing at Werribee City, they're loving it. Friday nights are fantastic. Even the Saturday games we were playing was just amazing, and I dare say it's just the start of bigger things to come in terms of what the club wants to look like from the outside in, and hopefully we'll be able to emulate that improvement on the football field and get the club to be one of the prominent teams in the western suburbs.
Now, Dom, another club that's trying to prepare itself for bigger things is Brunswick Juventus. You've got them this coming weekend. Have you been following their fortunes? And they've also had another coaching change as well since you played them last, actually 2. What do you expect from them this coming weekend?
Oh, look, I know quite a few of the players there, and obviously people that have been there for many years. It was a junior club that I grew up at, and I was fortunate enough to coach them and win a league in 2011. So there's a lot of history with my family in particular. So it's, if I'm not wearing blue, I'm probably part black and white. So in saying that, I do expect Juventus to come out all guns blazing. They've got a lot to fight for. There's a proud institution on and off the field. So, we expect it to be a massive game. Certainly for us, it would just give us that, if we're able to win this game, it'll be 4 out of 5 for us, which will be great. But, no one's going to gift wrap anything in this league. And as you say, it's a chaotic situation where, we lose 3-2 to Langwarrin, they go and beat Langwarrin 3-2. And, we can't, we're in a situation where we're 8 points from relegation and 6 points from the top of the ladder. So who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, the big Italian derby, Werribee City taking on Brunswick Juventus. Now, lo and behold, it's on a Saturday afternoon, the traditional 3 p.m. kickoff. Any particular reason for that?
Yes, our ground is now being taken up by the council because of the Women's World Cup. And as you know, we're hosting the Moroccan women's team. And so last Friday night was the last game that we could play on the ground because they're re-sowing and doing a fair bit of work in preparation for the Women's World Cup as a training venue. Yep. So we're now on pitch 2 at this stage, assuming that holds up fairly well. And it's been a decent training ground for a while. We think it'll be really, really good to play on in any case. It's just a tad smaller than the main ground, but we'll play on the moon if we have to. It doesn't really matter to us.
That's 3 p.m. Kickoff there at Costas Mitre 10 pitch 2, or Galvin Reserve for those that aren't familiar with it. We've got some huge games coming up next weekend in the we'll go through some of those. Friday night, Pascoe Vale at home to Preston Lions. Big game for both teams. Both teams lost this weekend, so that's a CB Smith Reserve on Friday night. Brunswick City at home to Dandenong City on Saturday. Eastern Lions at home to Western United. As we mentioned, Werribee City at home to Brunswick Juventus. On Sunday, then, we've got Melbourne City taking on Northcote City, and then 2 Monday night games to round off round 14. Bulleen Lions against Manningham United, and then Kingston City taking on Langwarrin. Dom, how are you going to prepare for this weekend's game? As you do as per normal, or is it, with a 5-1 thrashing of Pascoe Vale, is it now trying to keep a lid on maybe the expectations, the celebrations? I mean, you are coming up against the bottom side, even though they've had a good result against Langwarrin. Do you do anything differently, or just keep it the same as you would?
We celebrate our wins. It's important to celebrate the wins. I keep it fairly short-lived because I've got to prepare for the next week. And the boys are pretty disciplined. Come Monday night, they come to training and we're back at work, and we, the previous match is forgotten, and we start to go to work for the next opponent. And like I've intimated earlier tonight, we can't take anything for granted, and we, 7-day turnarounds are. I guess it's a situation where we've just got to put the past always behind us because the future comes fairly quickly in terms of what we've got to do. Yeah. And we have to now deal with the next opponent who's fighting for, certainly their reputation. Obviously, they're earmarked for the B League. So there's a lot at stake for Brunswick and for us as well. But, it's nothing worse than coming up against a side, irrespective of where they are on the ladder. And if they feel like they've got their backs to the wall, we know what we're going to be in for a hell of a game.
And Dom, going forward, you've got a lot of away games coming up in the back end of the season too. But I wanted to ask you about your off-field stuff, and of course your team of you got your team of players, but you got your team of coaches as well. What's it like, and what are the pros and cons of having Craig Filer in your team?
That's going to be my next question. He's not here, so you can be truthful.
How do you deal with the great Welshman? Is he a good ally to have?
Yeah, look, Craig's been a ripper. To be fair, he's got I don't know what he's on. He's on something, but he's got so much
we
energy.
Can tell you if he's
he's got so much energy, and when Craig goes, he goes 150 miles an hour. He's been a pleasure to work with, as well as Rainer Reba, who's our goalkeeper coach, and Shaq, who's our fitness strength and conditioning guy. The team's wonderful. If we have success this year, it's largely because of the team, and not only the players. The players have been fantastic, and the players are responding beautifully. But the work and the help that they give me just means that I can just focus on certain areas, and hopefully with my involvement in them and giving them a lot of responsibility, they're grabbing it with both hands, because Craig's more than capable to be coaching a senior team on his own. So I did say to him, funnily enough, on Friday that coaching in this league, I think all coaches in this league probably need to have a qualified assistant coach that's also doubles up as a psychiatrist, because the results are so diverse that we don't know what our teams are going to do. Sometimes we need to find that couch, put our feet up and have a little chat with our psychiatrist.
Yeah, that's for sure. What a great question, Steve. I was
Good answer by Dom, even better, I'd say.
I was going to ask that question, but yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Dom. On that note, mate, thank you very much for joining us here. Always a pleasure having you on the Football Out West show. Wishing you all the very best. And well, if the second half of the season, the NPL2 season, is as exciting as the first part, geez, we're in for a grandstand finish. It should be a classic.
No worries. Thank you for having me, guys, and all the best.
Thanks, Dom. All the best to you too.
Dominic BARBA there from the Werribee City Club. Fantastic, isn't it? All right. We're going to have a very, very quick break. I mean, a really quick break. And when we return, we will be looking at the NPL 3 competition, State League 1 as well, before we then go and get our second guest for tonight, Altona East Phoenix head coach, TERRY ANTONIADIS. Stay with us, folks. It is the Football Out West show, proudly brought to you by Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp. Don't go away. Well, it's time to now talk NPL 3 Victoria competition. Well, Steve, we talk about the competition of chaos, or the chaos competition being NPL 2. Tell you what, NPL 3 isn't much different from that either. It's very exciting in many, many ways. Let's go through some of the results played on the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, today we had Ballarat City at home going down 4-1 to Box Hill United. Yesterday also Beaumaris 2, North Sunshine Eagles 3, so a high scorer there. Another high scorer, this one, Burundara Carey Eagles, and we spoke to their manager last week, 2-2 with the Essendon Royals. Goulburn Valley Suns, 2-1 winners against Nunawading City at home. Caroline Springs, George Cross 1-0 over Doveton. The other match today taking place was Melbourne Victory against Geelong. Have you got that score at your disposal, Tonchi?
I think it was 3-0, was it? That game, the Melbourne Victory 3, Geelong 0. Yep, that was played earlier today.
So, not a great run of results for Geelong lately after they started like a house on fire, but they'll be back, I'm sure. But yeah, good result there for Melbourne Victory, and I mean, they're leading the league, so I guess you'd expect them to get a good result there in that fixture, which they did do. So the table, Melbourne Victory leading the way from North Sunshine, then Nunawading City and the Goulburn Valley Suns making up the top 4 after 9 matches apiece.
Caroline Springs, George Cross, big jump there. I think they've jumped about 3 or 4 spots there. And at the other end of the table, Essendon Royals have picked up a point, but Ballarat City are not looking very well at the moment after 9 games. Only a draw and 8 losses. So if we turn our attention now to round 10 as the halfway mark of NPL 3 Victoria competition beckons very, very shortly. We've got a Friday night match, Box Hill United taking on Essendon Royals. That's at Wembley Park. Then we've got about 4 games on Saturday. North Sunshine Eagles at home to Doveton, Nunawading City at home to Beaumaris, Caroline Springs George Cross hosting Ballarat City, Geelong at home to Goulburn Valley Suns at Stead Park Saturday night. And then on Sunday, Melbourne Victory taking on Burundara Carey Eagles at Epping Stadium. So some big games coming up there. Let's turn our attention now to State League, Men's State League, and first of all, to the State League 1 competition. This is an interesting one. And we've got an opportunity tonight, folks, to really kind of look into the State League 1 and State League 1, 2, 3, and 4 competitions. But let's turn our attention to State League 1. Steve, you've got the results there at handy, have you?
Yeah, some of those results from the weekend in the State League 1, we had Whittlesea Rangers 3-1 winners against the Brimbank Stallions. Whittlesea United going down to Altona City 1-0. A 1-1 match yesterday between Corio and Yarraville. Sydenham Park Hanson winners 7-0 at home at Keilor Lodge against Banyule City. And over at the Keilor Park Recreation Reserve, it was Keilor Park 0, FC Strathmore 3. And I'm just still chasing up that upfield scoreline from Friday night from Gibb Reserve, where they took on Westgate FC as well.
I believe that score was a 3-3 draw. High scoring goals.
Excellent.
Goal extravaganza and 3-3 in the end, yes, Steve.
Excellent. Well, yeah, again, a lot more goals being scored. There it is there as well, confirming that as well from Dimmy there, 3-3. So, yeah, a goal fest on Friday night at Upfield at Gibb Reserve. Yeah, another big round. And then we see Altona City leading the way, 7 wins from their 8 starts on 21 points from Sydenham Park. 5-2 from 7 with 17 points. Then Westgate, Strathmore, Brimbank Stallions, and Yarraville Glory all making up the top half.
Yeah, a real interesting battle at the other end as well. 4 points separates Upfield in 8th position and the relegation zone. So 2 teams there, Upfield and Whittlesea Rangers, both on 9 points. Corio on 6, Banyule City on 5, and Keilor Park at the foot of the competition standings on 3. Turning our attention now to round 9 next weekend. Upfield host Banyule City at Gibb Reserve. Once again, another Friday night match. Then on Saturday, we've got Brimbank Stallions at home to Yarraville Glory. FC Strathmore entertain Sydenham Park at Strathnava Reserve. Keilor Park at home to Whittlesea United. Altona City taking on Corio at Kim Reserve. That's at 6 p.m. on Saturday night. And at the same time, at Ardea Reserve, Westgate taking on Whittlesea Rangers. So some lots of interesting games happening there. It's time now to bring our next guest on, who will be talking about State League 2 football, and he's the coach of the Altona East Phoenix side. It's an absolute pleasure to bring onto the show TERRY Antoniadis. Terry, good evening and a very warm welcome to the Football Out West show. How are you?
Well, I'm going well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Thanks.
On the Sunday night when there's been so much football action happening, and let's talk State League 2 football at the moment. Altona East doing quite well.
For now we're quite happy with how things are going. It's been a really encouraging start so far to the season, and we've laid an important foundation. We're hoping to build on that for the remainder of the season. Hopefully, long way to go.
And we're 8 games in now, so it's ticking away the season, going very quickly. But you're doing all the right things in the pre-season and the off-season. How did you feel the mood was around the club with player retention, new recruits in the pre-season? Did you anticipate having such a good season that you'd be only a point off the league leaders at this time?
We were hoping. We had a pretty good season last year. We were right in the mix for the promotion places right up until the final week or two. So we kind of felt that we had a good enough squad to push once again for this season. And we have recruited. We're able to maintain a high majority of the squad from last year, but we've also recruited some new faces, some guys who've played at a higher level, and they've come in and added a little bit of quality and a bit of experience to our team. Pre-season, so there was a real positive feel about the club in pre-season. Pre-season was challenging. We weren't really playing particularly well, which I don't think is, looking back, not too much of a surprise. People getting used to new faces and all that sort of thing. So it just took a little bit of time to gel. Results are a little bit up and down, so were performances. But there was a turning point maybe a week or two before the season where things started to, turn and head in the right direction. And I think it's been really pleasing to kind of start the season the way we have.
Yeah. Now on the weekend, it was a game against Hoppers Crossing at home, 2-0 result there. Good win. Hoppers Crossing, they're an interesting side. They're a bit lower on the table, but they're a difficult side. They're not that easy. How'd you find it? What was your view on yesterday's game, yesterday's win over Hoppers?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I spoke to Alan after the game, their coach after the game, and I just told him to keep on going because they're a real handful on Friday nights. I think they have every right to be disappointed not to come away with a result from the game itself. On the balance of play, I thought it was pretty even. We we had stages in the game where we were on top, and so did they. And I thought, in particular, in the second half, they were, really looked threatening and quite dangerous. So we're really happy to kind of hang on in the end. Got a really late consolation goal, so the 2-0 scoreline probably looks a little bit more comfortable than what the game was. But yeah, they're a handful. They've got they're predominantly young team, but have real pace and some real quality in attacking areas as well. So and a goalkeeper who had a great game on the night too. So I think they'll be fine. I think that they'll be a threat most weeks.
And Terry, you've had Sam O'Halloran banging in 5 goals in 8. That's pretty good from someone up top or in front in attack. But your defence, you've only conceded 3 goals in 8 games. You must be happy with that, or also first and foremost.
Yeah, Sammy's been great. He came across from Mill Park last year, and he's managed to fit into the group really, really well. He's got that sort of personality that gets along with everybody. But he's also a great and really important player for us. He's a real handful for defenders, and he's just a threat all the time. He takes up good positions. He's really intelligent. He's got great movement. And you can go right side, left side. So he's been really good for us so far. We're delighted with how he's going. And yeah, defensively, we as the record suggests, we're really happy to only have conceded 3 goals to this stage of the season. We work on it a fair bit. We really take pride in that aspect of the game, being hard to play against, being hard to score against. It just keeps you in games of football, and then you're hoping for a moment or two of real quality down the other end to hopefully, be enough to snatch the 3 points. So that's something that we, like I said, really pride ourselves on, work hard at, and something that we hope we can continue moving forward.
Now let's have a look at that ladder again, and we'll go through some of the other results of the games played in round 8. Altona North defeated Epping City 2-1 in the Battle of the Cellar Dwellers. Hume United 2, Westvale Olympic 2, Layla United 0. Went down to the league leaders Clifton Hill 4, who are doing very well, 7 wins from their 8 games. Mill Park 0, Western Suburbs 0, and geez, down in Geelong, what a result that was. Geelong Rangers 0 on the wrong end of a 8-0 scoreline against Albion Rovers. They are, in fact, your opposition this week coming, and they'll be the wounded animal, as they say, but they've had a bit of an indifferent start to the season. I think I asked this question with Don BARBA as well earlier this week, but, you're coming up against a team that just got shellacked 8-0. And the players can sometimes look at that and think, oh, yeah, easy game coming up against this. What do you do to avoid that complacency within your squad, Terry?
Yeah, have that conversation with the group, and just making sure that we've got to turn up, and making sure that at the end of 90 minutes we have absolutely no regrets. You would expect a response from everyone involved at Geelong after the result on the weekend, and that's what we're going to do. We'll hopefully prepare as well as we possibly can. We've been really good so far in just focusing on what's in front of us. We don't look 2 weeks ahead or 3 weeks ahead. It's what's here right in front of us. The focus. We'll talk a little bit about the Hoppers Crossing game before we start training on Tuesday night, but then the rest of the week we just turn our attention to focusing on Geelong, preparing as well as we can. We're expecting a tough game. Historically, since I've been at the club for the last 2 or 3 years, we always have some really tough battles with Geelong. We beat them 2-1 at home last year, but it was a goal right at the very end, and then we drew 2-2 away. So they're a team that's really giving us problems in recent times, and we're expecting another tough game.
And Terry, the State League 2, how do you see the standard of that and the style of play over that last 3 years that you've been there at the club? Has there been any noticeable changes, or has it sort of been more or less the same?
I think this year is probably the most even competition. I think there are probably about 6 or 7 clubs that, at the beginning of the year had some real promotion aspirations. And I think that's, and there's, from what I'm hearing, I can't speak on behalf of other clubs, but from what you hear around the traps, there's a fair bit of financial investment going around in the league as well. Yeah, it's a competitive league. I know some of the results, you mentioned the result earlier regarding Albion and Geelong, and that doesn't suggest a competitive game. But overall, I think, it's a really competitive league. There are teams really pushing every week. And I think if you're off just a little bit, then, you can easily drop points to anyone.
Yeah.
So I think whereas 2 or 3 years ago, even last year, maybe there was 3 or 4 teams that were really pushing for promotion. I think there are more teams this year that are kind of looking to get into the top 2 places, and there's some really good players in the league. You kind of look at it, State 2, Northwest, and all that, but there's some really high quality individuals playing in our competition, and it's good. It's good to be a part of it.
Now, it seems to be like a 2. If we look at the ladder again, bring the ladder up there. It almost looks like a 2 team horse race for the title there. But obviously, it's a lot closer than that suggests. But June the 2nd, Friday night, June the 2nd, that's when Altona East hosts Clifton Hill. So it looks likely to be a battle of 1v2. But also on the night is a very, very special occasion for the club. The Altona East Soccer Club reunion. So past players, coaches, members, as a reunion is being organised for that night. It's a Friday night game against Clifton Hill. There'll be food and drinks. Now, Peter Groidis is donating the food and drinks. All proceeds going to Altona East Soccer Club, and the cost is $50. For more details, go to the Altona East Phoenix Facebook page. But Terry, that's going to be a huge night for the club, obviously off the field as well, but also on the field. Have the players, have the squad, have yourself got one eye already on that, even though there's 2 games to go before that particular fixture?
The honest and short answer to that is absolutely not.
Take it 1 week at a time, hey?
100%. I think I think been involved in this game for a fair while now, and I think as soon as you start to look 2 or 3 weeks ahead, then you're kind of asking for it. So, No, we haven't spoken about Clifton Hill as a group. I know they've organised a reunion, which is great because it's we're a family club, but there's been a lot of really special people pass through the doors at Altona East Soccer Club, and for them to organise a reunion on the night, I think is fantastic. I'm noticing it, probably because we're doing okay on the park with results and whatnot, but I'm noticing more and more people that I haven't seen at the club for a really long time starting to come back. And there's a real, feel-good factor around the place once again, which is nice to be a part of. So that would be really nice. It'd be nice to catch up with some familiar faces that I haven't seen for a while. And hopefully we can, play our part on the park and perform well and get a positive result. So it makes the night even more special. But no, we haven't, in regards to the Clifton Hill game itself, we haven't thought about it at all. No, not yet.
Yeah, awesome. All right, mate. Well, on that note, we wish you all the very best. It looks like State League 2, as you said, it's a very even competition standard-wise, and it certainly looks like an enthralling battle for top spot. And we look forward to maybe touching base with you later in the year as well. But in the meantime, Terry, all the very best to you and Altona East Phoenix.
Thanks very much, gentlemen. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Thanks for the time, Terry. All the best.
Good on you. Terry Antoniadis, the head coach of Altona East Phoenix. Folks, don't go away. When we return, we've got more State League football to talk about. We've also got the NPLW and the VPLW women's competitions as well. It's the Football Out West show, and you're watching episode 113.
At Guzman Finance, like you, we are passionate about the western suburbs and football. Our main passion, however, is helping customers succeed in their financial goals. As trusted mortgage brokers, we offer knowledge, personalised service, and access to hundreds of loan products from Australia's leading lenders. If you're in the market for buying your first home, looking for a better interest rate on your mortgage, renovating your home, or buying an investment property, my team and I will help you manage the process from start to finish. Avoid costly mistakes and expensive loan products. Contact our office on 9369 6805 or 0425 826 055.
Welcome to Anytime Fitness in Werribee.
the club with the most supportive, welcoming and friendliest members and staff.
Whether you're a first-timer, gym goer or just an everyday person, we are here for you.
A recently renovated facility offers you everything you need to get started with your health and fitness goals.
Our club offers brand new state-of-the-art cardio equipment, an amazing functional zone for group classes, a lifting zone, and really does cater for every single person. So don't miss out, come see us in club to redeem this offer.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It is episode 113, and we're going to now turn our attention to the ladies' divisions. And we're first of all looking at NPLW. We spoke earlier, Steve, about how now the returning A-League W players are coming back into the local competition. So it should be a very, very interesting next few couple of months. And here we go. There's the round 10 standings so far. Boroondara Kerry Eagles still doing very, very well at the top of the competition standings. They're involved in a high-scoring and a really, really drama-filled game on Friday night against Heidelberg United. 5-4 winners in the end. And Boroondara, newly promoted, they're doing very well, Steve.
Yeah, what a thriller. 5-4. Just raining goals at Olympic Village on was that Friday night. The other matches, FB Emerging and Southern United 1-1. On Saturday, Alamein and Bayside 2-2. The match I was at today, again, very even with some A-League women's players returning to their respective teams. And that match finishing 1-1 between South and Calder. Calder's been having a bit of a dicey season compared to what we used to seeing them perform at and lifting silverware every year, but they're going to turn it around, I think, now, picking up some of these players. They had the likes of Duralis and Dakic and from Western United in their team today. They had Annabelle Haffinen from Brisbane Roar. They've also got Alana Cern and Sardo as well to come back as well. But yeah, South Melbourne had picked up a couple as well. Iamano from Western United, Westland from Adelaide United. So there's a whole plethora of talent coming back into this competition, Tonchi. So if you think if you're heading out to commentate one of these games this weekend, next weekend, you think you've done your homework and you turn up with your sheets of players and your research, you might be surprised because there could be a whole bunch of names that you haven't expected to see on the team sheet when you get there.
Yeah. One more game to complete round 10 this week. That's tomorrow at David Barrows Stadium. Bulleen Lions hosting Preston Lions. An important game for both. Both of those teams are on 12. A good win tomorrow night will see them jump possibly as high as second spot on the competition standing. So it's a must-win game for both Preston and the hosts Bulleen Lions tomorrow night. That's going to be a big one. But yeah, if we look at that competition there's the ladder. Boroondara clearly on top at the moment. Alamein, South Melbourne, Heidelberg making up the top four. So lots of interest going to be in that one. Now, if we turn next week's round 11 fixture, round 10 fixtures, sorry. Preston Lions at home to Bayside United. We've got Alamein at home to Box Hill United. South Melbourne home to the bottom side, Southern United. Bulleen Lions hosting Calder United. And Boroondara taking on Football Victoria Emerging. So, yeah, look, there's a couple of games there that some of the top sides are playing the bottom sides. And they're expected to win. But as you say, at the moment, could be very, very interesting with the way the competition is being reinforced every week with some top quality female footballers.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess that moves us seamlessly along to another good competition, which is the VPLW. There's a whole bunch of matches that took place over the weekend, and there you go. We've got the league table on the screen as well. Brunswick, Juventus just behind Essendon Royals in the top two. Then Casey Comets, Ringwood City, Spring Hills, Melbourne Uni, Geelong Galaxy, Eltham Redback, South Yarra, Glen Waverley, and Monbulk Rangers bringing up the rear. And some of those results from the weekend that we've got available to us. Essendon Royals 7-0 over Monbulk. Wow. Melbourne Uni 3-1 over the Eltham Redbacks. It was 4-2 for Brunswick Juventus away at Spring Hills. And that match today, Geelong Galaxy 4-2 over Casey Comet. So 2 wins in a row for Geelong Galaxy. They're turning things around a little bit. And South Yarra and Glen Waverley, I don't have that score. Thank you, Sports TG. That was played at Ron Barassi Reserve this afternoon. I think that was being streamed as well. I heard as well by Football Victoria. So last season we saw the VPLW stream. This season not, but looks like maybe a select game each week will be. Ringwood City, they had the bye on the weekend, given it's an 11-team comp. But look, there's some high-scoring matches, some good football being played in this competition, Tonchi.
Brunswick Juventus, newly promoted from State League 1 last year. They are just doing absolutely brilliantly at the moment. 100% record, 6 wins from 6 games. They got the game in hand and they're equal top at the moment. Obviously, slightly inferior goal difference to Essendon Royals, but nonetheless, they are doing very, very well. You can't ask for more than that. 6 wins from 6 games. Turning our attention to next week's games, Essendon Royals hosting Spring Hills. That's a Friday night fixture there at Cross Keys Reserve. Also Friday night, Ringwood City at home to Eltham Redbacks. Then on Sunday, we've got Glen Waverley taking on Geelong Galaxy. Brunswick Juventus at home to Melbourne University Soccer Club. And South Yarra at home to Monbulk Rangers. Casey Comets have the bye in that particular game. So that's it for the women's competition. Well, we're going to take a very, very quick break. When we return, it's the rest of the State League roundup. State League Men's 3, State League Men's 4, and State League Men's 5. Folks, don't go away.
Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show.
It's the Football Out West show, folks. There's not much longer to go now. We're going to be talking Men's State League 3 competition now, and we'll bring up the ladder as we also go through the results of the round 3 scores, Steve.
Yeah, State League 3. We haven't looked at this league for a while, but the round 8 recap. Big thanks to Brenton Ray as well. What a legend
he does a brilliant job, doesn't he?
Yeah, you have to really give this guy some credit for what he does. Craigieburn City 1-0 over Sunbury, and other results that we have: West Side Strikers Caroline Springs 1-1 with Uni Hill Eagles, Williamstown 1, Point Cook Jets 2, Western Eagles 0, Heidelberg Eagles 5 in the Eagles derby. There's a Monday night kickoff to come, Faulkner and Moreland United Monday at 8:30. If you have the scores from Diamond Valley versus Sebastopol Vikings, pop them in the comments.
Yeah. Now, the games for round 9, Diamond Valley hosting Faulkner, Heidelberg United Eagles taking on Craigieburn City. That should be a good game there, first versus third. That's at James Reserve on Saturday at 3 p.m. Moreland United taking on Westside Strikers Caroline Springs. Sebastopol Vikings at home to Western Eagles. Sunbury United taking on Williamstown. And then Uni Hill Eagles hosting Point Cook Jets. That's State League 3. Moving along to State League 4. There's the ladder. And have we got the results?
Got the full complement here. Keilor Wolves 2, Moonee Ponds United 1, Barnstone Worth United 1, Barwon 3, Bell Park 0, Laverton 2, Moonee Valley Knights, they've been going along well, 0-0 with Melbourne City, the team from Spotswood. Surf Coast going along well, also 3-0 for Surf Coast over 3-1, should I say, 3-1 against the Truganina Hornets. Spring Hills 2, Gisborne 0 in State League 4. Gisborne rooted to the bottom on 1 point. Laverton FC find themselves going top with those results on the weekend after that win over Bell Park.
Turning our attention to round 9 fixtures, Barnstone Worth United taking on the league leaders Laverton and JT Grey Reserve on Saturday. Gisborne at home to Surf Coast, Keilor White Wolves entertain Barwon. Melbourne City at home to Truganina Hornets. Moonee Ponds United taking on Spring Hills, and Moonee Valley Knights hosting Bell Park. State League 4. On to State League 5. The last, certainly not
couple
least.
of cricket scores to get us underway in State League 5. ETA Buffalo, that's the East Timorese community club that's just moved up to State 5 this season. They went down 5-0 to Ballarat. Tarneit United 0, Balmoral 7. Wyndham 1, Lara United 1. Bendigo City 1-0 winners over West Point. Good little team, Bendigo City. They're bringing a lot of players through their junior NPL into that State League 5 team, so they're going to be very good. Melton Phoenix 1, Surfside Waves 0, Deakin Ducks. They were at probably at Lambie's nightclub on the weekend. They had the bye.
Looking ahead to round 9 this weekend, the Ducks host Wyndham FC at Deakin University in Geelong. West Point are at home to Tarneit United. Surfside Waves hosting ETA Buffalo down in Ocean Grove. Balmoral, the league leaders, taking on 4th placed Melton Phoenix at Balmoral Park on Saturday evening. And also Saturday evening at a 6 p.m. kickoff, Lara United taking on Ballarat at the Lara Recreation Reserve, and Bendigo City have the bye. Folks, that brings us to the end of tonight's show. Lots of football to get through. We really tried to cover as much of the state leagues tonight as possible because it's sometimes very difficult with the little bit of time to get around to all of the clubs and all the competitions, and so much. We haven't even touched on the lower league, state league women's as well. And that's very difficult sometimes because the games are played on a Sunday afternoon. But hope you all enjoyed tonight's show. It was a ripper. We had some great guests, and it was a great insight into some of the clubs that we probably wouldn't have a chance to otherwise take a look at. So once again, thank you so much for being a part of tonight's show, and thank you to our major sponsors, Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp. If it wasn't for those organisations, those businesses, and in fact all of our other businesses that support us on a regular basis, we wouldn't be able to bring you this show every Sunday night. Steve, you've had a big one. Time for you to have a little bit of a break, but I look forward to having your company in a couple of weeks' time. You won't be around next week. You'll be having a little bit of a break, but Craig Filer will be back. The Wild Welshman, he will be back next week to keep me company. Enjoy a little bit of a break.
Looking forward to it, mate, and I might even try and tune in for a little bit if I can too.
Yeah, fantastic. Folks, thanks once again for being a part of tonight's show. Really, really appreciate it. Tomorrow night, we've got the game of two halves powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. That's at 8 p.m, and that will be simulcast live here on the Football Out West Facebook page. So if you're hanging out for some more football action, live football action, join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Until then, good night.
Good night.
Thank you.